And so I woke up this morning and I was thinking about the people that I'm focusing on right now, and those are that are poor. People who perhaps have never ever gotten a chance to do a lot of other things except things that were right there at their fingertips. You know, there are people who have never left their hometown, the city, never been around the state, never been out of the state. I remember years ago when I had moved to Chicago, and one late evening, a group of us were riding, just socializing, maybe smoking some weed, maybe. And one of the people who were in the car, I think they were from Illinois, perhaps never been down south. And when they were asking me about my dialect, it sounded different. And I'm saying, well, what do you mean? Then I said, I'm from Mississippi. She said, oh, Mississippi. Then she asked me, how did I get out of Mississippi? She had heard that Mississippi had a fence around it. It's almost like she must have heard that Mississippi had been a prison, or like a prison, and you had to escape. I guess when she heard the stories about people coming from south to the north, she saw it as escaping from Mississippi. Well, that just really meant that she hadn't been anywhere, didn't know anything about what was really going on. And this should matter to all of us. It really should matter to all of us. I'm thinking that every poor person who have never been in an airplane within the next couple of years get a chance to fly, to get a chance to see nature, to look down at certain parts of the earth and see how beautiful it is, to pass over the lakes, to pass over the waters, the big waters, and see it, to look down at the clouds and see the magnitude of this miraculous mess. And it is that indeed. And you are riding above it. To be riding when the sun is rising in the morning time and to see those rays clash against those clouds, and depending upon the weather, you can see some of the most magnificent colors. I'm telling you, to go over the valleys and look down at the valleys. I mean, these things absolutely, and people have never left their home cities. They've never, every poor person. I want you to get in a plane and fly somewhere, maybe out of the country, some foreign country. Get a chance to see some real things. Get a chance to smile. Get a chance to say, I never knew. Get a chance to say, thank you, thank you. And who are you saying thank you to? You're saying thank you to the American people. You're saying thank you to the American spirit that's guided us this far. You're saying now we understand why education is so important. Yes, it is good for the individual. But more than that, it is good for we, the people. It is good for the nation. Imagine, if you will, just like we have the draft when things of crisis, war, whatever, you have to register for the draft even if there is no war. You have to register. But just imagine if you got out of high school and you automatically knew that you were required to continue your education. You expected to continue your education, whether it had to be, whether it was in a trade school or some other institution of higher learning, but you were developing. Just imagine what it would be like if all this time we had been educating our population. Just think about the things that we as a nation, we as a people would have been able to do. And think about it, ladies and gentlemen. And the whole point of it is, realize, ladies and gentlemen, that the whole point of being here on earth, outside of doing what God or the Creator, whoever put us here, wanted us to do, at the same time getting a chance to understand what it's like to do for one another as if you're doing it for yourselves. To know that all the things now that money could ever buy could never do what you have created for yourselves, because all the things that money could ever buy at your disposal already. It's at your disposal already. But you don't have the challenges now of worrying about who is threatening you, or who is trying to outsmart you, who's trying to take advantage of you, who's trying to take away from you. No, because it's not a takeaway, it's a giveaway. And I'm telling you, my friends, this is why I say to you, I say to you, we got to change America. And I'm telling the poor people, you got to stand up because you are the ones that have been trampled on. You're the ones who are still being stepped on. You're eating out of the garbage cans. You don't think you're being trampled on? You're living in tent cities. You don't think you're being trampled on and stepped on? You are living in under buildings and sleeping between garbage cans. You don't think you're being trampled and stampled on? You are struggling trying to pay your bills, trying to make it from the next paycheck if you got one. You don't think you're being trampled on? Yes, you are being trampled on. And it means that everybody else that's not being trampled on is trampling on you. But don't get angry. We were born into this. We haven't been taught what I'm sharing with you now. No, we have not been taught that. I'm saying it to you and it touches you inside your spirit. You feel so good just to hear it. But because of what and how we have been taught, it sounds ridiculous to you. But you're thinking deep down inside, only if it could. And I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, it can be. All it takes is for you to want it to be and for you to feel that with some evidence by standing up and saying yes to it. And what does that basically mean? It means that the resources of this earth that have been given to us by the giver of this earth will be used for the benefit of those of us on this earth who desire to use the things of this earth. That includes all the things that are already being used. We the people have accepted as essential and for our survival, and anything that we can imagine or come up with in the future that would give us the benefit of living as though we're in heaven, recognizing that all that we do is in honor of a power that we can't see, that we glorify through how we do one another. So, I want all the poor people to get ready because we want to put you in an airplane. And if you can't fly to Paris, if you can't fly to London, maybe you can fly to Chicago. And if you're too afraid to do that, maybe you can get on a boat, get on a cruise. Can you imagine on a cruise going someplace? Hey, somebody's smiling on you, and you better believe it. Until next time, Eddie Marcus.